Now, let's see. Oh, well now I've got an echo. I don't want that. Okay. So hopefully now that my computer is muted, and I am just using I'm not even using the microphone anymore. I'm just using the default input on my computer. And hopefully now that it's muted, you're not getting the echo effect that I was getting. We should be in good shape, right? Let me make sure that's the case. Okay, good. Woo! Okay, so now that we've completely boomered the stream, let's start that again. Hello everyone, Midnight Hatter here. Rumors of my coof caused demise were greatly exaggerated. I am here, I am alive, and I'm ready to share some exciting stuff with you. Hope everyone is doing well, having a good evening, a good week so far. No, this is not the big reveal of the Gundam5e update. This is just a small update. I figured I'd show off some progress so that you guys know that I'm not just slouching around and, with my thumb in nether places. So I'm going to be showing off some of the skills and techniques that I've been using to update the documents and update the website. These are going to make updates to the system in the future much easier. And hopefully, it's going to stay true to the sort of mission statement that we're looking at 2-3 years ago now. The mission statement behind this whole Gundam RPG project is to inspire and to encourage people to take tools, take techniques, take things that inspire them and build off of them and build their own things and take advantage of what's out there in order to create something special. So, GPN coming to, yeah, that's the rumor anyway. Thank you guys for helping me troubleshoot my boomering of the audio. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's dive into what we're going to be looking at here this evening. This is going to be a tutorial of sorts. If you follow the content on my YouTube channel, on my Odyssey channel, you know that I have a lot of different hobbies. I tinker in Gunpla, I tinker in, now I'm wiring up LEDs for miniatures and things like that. But I am also a amateur programmer. I guess you might call me like a, there's a term for someone who is trained outside of schooling, which obviously I don't know. I do remember that it's a very fancy college sounding word for saying that you didn't go to college, but I am a self-taught, just everything, self-taught musician, self-taught programmer, self-taught, artist, everything. But the point is, I'm using some JavaScript libraries, some JavaScript frameworks, and some CSS frameworks and libraries in order to generate content for the Gundam5e rulebook and website simultaneously that I think people are going to, I'm taking techniques that people have used for web development and for, just silly types of web apps and projects like that, and I'm applying them in this tabletop gaming scenario, and hopefully it'll kind of get those creative juices flowing for you, and, you can learn from my mistakes kind of along the way. So, all that said, we've got our kind of prelude out of the way. What we're looking at here is the Google document where I store all of the information for the Gundam5e tabletop role-playing book. We've got a cover sheet, we've got our table of contents here, we've got, introduction, flavor text, all this good stuff, right? We've got some splash images that I've sourced from all kinds of different places. And of course we have all of our classes. The classes have been built for a while. This is all kind of old news. What I'm going to get into today is one of the most daunting tasks about putting together this PDF. And one of the reasons that I've put off putting out a PDF for so long is that updating and maintaining a website is so much easier than updating a PDF. That every time I make a typo change, I have to issue a new edition of this book. It's not efficient, and it's not helpful to you. It's not helpful to me. It's a waste of everybody's time. However, the daunting task of that is that there's certain sections of the book that need to be updated sort of en masse, which, we're talking about now that we've brought back new type classes. We're talking about new type talents. Now that the engineers are going to have tech casting abilities, we're talking about tech talents. We're talking about mobile suit stat blocks. We're talking about enemy stat blocks. All of those things that, for the website, they are stored in spreadsheets. They're stored in tables. They're stored in, parsable data for a WordPress-powered website. All of that stuff then has to be formatted to look pretty for a print publication, which, no, I'm not going to print this PDF. I might print some copies of it for myself, just, as a relic, as a piece of history, a piece of work that I've created. Something to be proud of, something tangible, something like that. But, it still has to be formatted so that it's legible in print. One of the things that I can't stand are, and this is probably just because I work as a graphic designer professionally, there are a lot of tabletop systems out there. There are a lot of RPGs out there that people have created on Reddit and, whatever, different platforms. And the formatting, the presentation of it is just garbage. And I'm one of those people that, while you can't judge a book by its cover, the cover was there for a reason, because you wouldn't buy it if you didn't like what you saw on the cover. Now, that said, the cover includes things like being on Oprah's best-selling list, right? That's part and parcel of what the content is. So you want your content to be clear, legible, well-designed, so that people can actually engage with it and enjoy it. So here's where, the rub comes in, is I have all of this information. We'll hop over into a Google spreadsheet that I've been using. I've been using a lot of Google products lately. They're free. You know how it is, though. If the product is free, the service is you, or something like that. I forget how the saying goes. But suffice to say, I have tables upon tables of data storing all of our information, from mobile suits to our mobile armors and warships to our MS weapons to personnel weapons, now that personnel combat is going to be a thing, upgrades and gear for your different mobile suits, items and loot that you are going to be able to get when you play this game, feats that you can use as character customization options, and of course the talent list for your cyber new types, your new types, and your engineer class members. So this is perfectly formatted for popping onto the website. No problem, easy peasy. We have ways of doing that. In fact, on the back end of the website, you can use I have a tool that generates tables based on information that you put into it. But if I update something here, then I have to go over there and update it. That's a little frustrating. Furthermore, to get this information, in a format that looks good in print, I'd be sitting there and just copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Nobody has time for all that. So what we're going to be doing is using a JavaScript tool known as PapaParse, formerly known as Tabletop. It's a JavaScript tool that parses CSVs. Basically it takes your table and creates a searchable, sortable array in JavaScript where you can utilize that information on the front end of whatever your application is. I found it as a web designer had used it as a sort of mock way of creating a website for a client, and they created these different columns where it was like, what do you want the header of your website to be? What do you want the main image to be? What do you want the paragraph text to be? And it's like, okay, I don't trust you guys to go in and edit the HTML yourself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this Google Sheet, and you just go to where the heading says header, and then you can change the header text there, and it'll change on the website. Everything is live, everything publishes automatically, and it makes it easy for people to interact with while also, publishing it to the web. So in that same vein, what we are going to do is we are going to hop into a script that I've put together here. Don't be intimidated by all of this. This is a lot of the formatting that I've had to kind of copy and paste in here to make sure that it looks good when we paste it into the final PDF book, right? So if you look down here, and let me go ahead and bump up the size on this so that it's a little more legible. It doesn't look exactly how I want it to look in the book, but what you're going to see is when I copy paste it, move it over, this is going to be formatted perfectly for the rule book, which is it's going to be awesome. So anyway, what we've got here, what the heck? I think I've got like a soda fizzing on my desk or something here. So what we've got here, first we want to look at the different preprocessors and the external scripts that we're using. First, PapaParse, that is what is necessary for extracting the data from that Google spreadsheet. The nice thing about working in CodePen is you can actually search this stuff. If you hop in there, hey, PapaParse, click, add it right in there. Now I've already got it, so I can take that one out. The other thing that we are going to use is a JavaScript tool that is called Vue.js. There's a lot of different versions out there, but the one that we're going to be using for this particular application is 2.6.11. So like, say for instance, you hop over here and you search Vue. Even though this is a newer version, stick with the older one just because it works. The other thing that we are going to import, and this may or may not be necessary, I always import Bootstrap as a formatting CSS framework. I'm so familiar with working using Bootstrap that it helps me if I have an idea of, okay, well, I want something to be centered. Rather than going in there and saying style text align center, I can just put class text center and center it. I don't have to worry about doing a lot of extra work. Now the downside is, for the purposes of what I'm doing here, it's probably not going to make a difference because the style sheet is not being imported into the PDF. So once we've done that, and you see I've got a couple of variables that I've set up. These are constants actually, so these are, it's not the same as just a regular JavaScript variable. This one is going to it's more of a global type variable that you can call from all over. You don't have to call it in a specific function. And again, we are going to create a new Vue.js application, and you see that app is tied to the div ID app, which again is tied to that variable for app. We've got a function that's going to return our mobile suits and our talents, and that function basically calls these sub methods of fetch mobile suits and fetch talents. And of course, I'm going to make all this stuff available so that you can just copy, paste, and swap it out with the things that you want to do, because that's what I did. Let's be honest. The only things that you really have to worry about are whatever your variables are called here. So for instance, if you're going to fetch mobile suits, make sure that your variable is called mobile suits. Make sure that you have mobile suits as one of the returns that you're getting out of it here. And then these URLs, this is where the magic comes in, is you hop back into your Google spreadsheet, you go to File, you go Share, and Publish to Web. Now currently I'm publishing the entire document. This is where you kind of make the data from your spreadsheet available publicly. And you are going to select a comma separated value, a CSV file, and you can even select specific specific tables from within your master spreadsheet. So let's say we just wanted the list of talents. We copy that link, and if you wanted to see what it looks like, we'll copy, paste it in here. Oh, did that? What happened here? There we go. Okay, it doesn't. Oh, it's downloading it. We don't want to do that. Let's try doing it as a web page that way. I just want to show you what is outputting from Google before we. There it is. So as you can see, if you visit that URL, that pub HTML of the table, this information is public on the web. It's published. Anyone who can, anyone who has that URL can go to this page and see all the information in the table. But again, this isn't very formatted. It's not helpful because you can't search it, you can't sort it, you can't filter it, you can't do any of that cool stuff. So we take that CSV link that is generated by Google, and theoretically you could do this with, if you don't trust Google, you could do it with a SharePoint document in Microsoft. Oh, sorry, got to go back to my, and then what you would do is you just go ahead and replace the URL variable with the one that you just copied from Google, and it really is that easy. All of a sudden, all of your contents over here are affected, and it updates whenever a change is made on the Google side. Then your updates are published to the HTML side. Now again, this looks intimidating because there's a ton of extra formatting in here, and again, so I apologize for that. But the main things that you want to focus on are the text in white here, because it really is as simple as with the Vue.js, you have a little if statement here that is v for each mobile suit in the list of mobile suits. Now, mobile suits is the variable that we set up over here in our PapaParse data. So this mobile suits equals results data. That's what it's looking for. So for each mobile suit in that table, which is each just row item, we're going to generate a whole div that is going to contain all of our data in a format that we want to use it in. Now, to call that data, it's just a couple of curly brackets with the name of the variable that you used. So for mobile suit, and then if it's a one-word column on your spreadsheet, so say for instance here, where we've got our mobile suit factions, the header row of that spreadsheet is just faction, so it would just be mobile suit.faction. But when you have spaces in there, it doesn't know how to parse those. So what you have to do is use a little quote string in there. So you put a pair of brackets and some quotes around it. Unit name, easy peasy. And what you get out of all of that is all of your data perfectly formatted the way that you would like it. Now, because it is already set up the way I'd like it, what we're going to do is we're just going to select this massive block of text and tables and power names and all of this good stuff. As you can see, there's a lot of data that I've been working on, a lot of entries. I wonder if I can just hit Control-All. Yes, thank you, Lord. We're just going to copy that. We're going to hop over into our Google document. We're just going to get rid of these little headers. We don't need them anyway. So, paste. It's going to take a minute because it's processing a lot of data. But here's how it's going to publish. Thinking about it. I hope it's actually thinking about it. Yeah, considering I can't right click anymore, I'm sure. Oh, there it goes. So, as you can see, we've got, these are all of our new type powers entered into the document, and they're formatted the way I like. where you have the name of the new type power, and then you have a small table that shows what your use time is, how long it lasts, what the range is, whether it's an attack or a saving throw, and one of the new things that I'm introducing is the usage, which, some talents can be used in armored combat, some can be used in personnel combat, which is just hand-to-hand infantry combat, and some are, universal that you can use anywhere. And so that is that. I don't know why it came in bold. We definitely don't want that, so I might have to redo that step because I don't want everything bolded. And then I do want to add an extra line break after each, probably before and after each entry. So what I'm going to do, let's just go ahead and undo that paste, which is going to take a second to undo that step. Thinking about it. I can hear my computer humming, which is never a good sign. So that's all mobile suit entry stuff. Let's go to our. Now you probably tell I've got the mobile suit entries hidden, but I will probably show them to you here in just a moment because even though they're not quite done, I do want to show you how they're going to come out. But it's like I wanted to make it easier to copy and paste the talents in because this is basically a live updating. I'm showing you guys live exactly what my process is for doing this. So we've got our font information is in there correct. I think the problem is we are getting into the actual description of the talent. I don't mind, font size 8, font family Proxima Nova, all that's correct. Text decoration, font weight is good, font style. Now in the talent details, I think what we want to do is probably drop the font weight and see if that will unbold it. That's a good sign that it looks different here. And you can see that obviously CodePen and the Google document kind of parse the data differently. In CodePen, this font is like a script font, but then in Google Docs, it's more of that sci-fi font that we are using. So if you have say a small arms repair skill, fix anything from pistols to long rifle, could you use that skill in an MS to fix your beam rifle? Oh, no worries there. Well, yeah. I mean, there's no small arms repair skill per se. There is just a repair skill, a flat repair skill, but I think it's less about the skill per se than it is talents. And the reason that there's a specificity when it comes to talents is that now that mobile suits are going to have now that they have a fixed hit point value, what you're going to find is that mobile suit weapons deal on average between 5 and 10 times as much damage as a personnel weapon would deal, which isn't necessarily a problem when you are just dealing with martial classes. But when you are dealing with classes like new types that deal damage based on talents as opposed to the weapons that they have equipped, you need a way of scaling that damage appropriately for whatever their target is. So that is, sort of the whole idea behind that. Now that we've got this reformatted. I'm going to go ahead and try copy and paste it again, see how that goes. And, you know, obviously there's going to be a few things that I'm going to have to tweak after the fact to make sure that I have some column breaks and some line breaks that make it a little bit more legible. I just realized I forgot to add in the spaces at the beginning and end of each talent. But suffice to say, you know, this is a lot of data. This is a lot of like entries to put into a print document that would be a nightmare to just type out by hand. So this method of publishing this is just, it's a no-brainer for me. It makes it so much easier to get this done, and it makes the whole task a lot easier for, you know, for my sanity. Sorry. But like I said, the neat thing about this is not necessarily that it's just a one-use tool. For instance, if we hop over here, I've got the same PapaParse function that is pulling data from that exact same spreadsheet, but it generates a sortable, searchable, filterable table with pagination. We can, you know, it's paginated to 25 entries per page, and it's got all of the same information. This is what's going to be published to the website instead of the current format, which, you know, while both of them have the same function, while both of them are sortable, searchable, filterable tables and, you know, spreadsheets essentially in the website, this one, because it is linked to that Google Sheet, is far easier to edit. It's far easier for me to share with other trusted editors who can make changes without having to log into the back end of my website and know how my tables app works. They can just, you know, everybody knows how to use a Google Sheet or, you know, an Excel file. So it makes it easier to share that stuff around. It's all cloud-based, so of course, you know, you can edit it from wherever, at whenever. You don't have to be at my computer in order to make changes. So it's just a brilliant way of handling all of this. Now this uses a slightly different format, which, you know, is just vanilla Java. Well, this is jQuery, the actual build of the table. But, you know, what you'll see is when you just go to reload this page, you'll see a little loading sign, boop, and then all of your data is parsed and printed. And then, of course, you know, if you wanted to sort it by, well, I don't want to use the cyber new type ones, I'm looking for new type ones, we can search by that. If we just want to look at, you know, level 1 powers and higher, we can do that. Or if you wanted to find a specific one, let's say new type confusion, I think is, yeah, there we go. And it even prints out the images of the tables that are within the tables, because obviously that's a thing that I can't do in HTML, is create tables within tables. So you get everything in here. It's fantastic. So I hope that's exciting. I will hop back over here and show you guys what the mobile suits will be formatted like for print. They are still going to be, I'm going to have a table just like that one on the website for the mobile suits, so that they are sortable, searchable, filterable with images attached, just like it is now. You know, it's just data that's being updated in that regard. But say, for instance, right here I've got the display none here. We're just going to remove that. And for each mobile suit in our table, what you're going to get is a little stat block like this. Something pretty looking, looks like something you'd see on dndbeyond.com, which is exactly what Gundam5e.com was sort of modeled to be like. I wanted it to be the one-stop resource for all of your Gundam RPG needs, and you could just, you know, go in there and do that. Now, because I have this tool at my disposal, PapaParse, and because I've been experimenting with other use case scenarios, So, you might be looking at this and you're like, okay, Hatter, you've got, your Gundam stuff, you're formatting it so that you can print your book, so that you can do this, this is your project, right? This doesn't help me at all. Well, let's say, actually, you know what? I don't want to. I almost scaled up the window, but then I realized that the screen capture is probably not going to pick up the change in window size. Let's see. I think I can probably. Nope. We want to make it slightly wider. See if that works. Okay. So let's look at some other use case scenarios that we can use this particular JavaScript library for. For instance, I made a table here. Doesn't look like anything impressive, right? Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and bump up our size so that you can see what we're working on here. It is something as simple as the header is character, border, extra, and I've got a couple of image links in there. This is what we're doing with it. We are generating tokens for our virtual tabletops, for your Roll20, your Astral, your Foundry, whatever you like. What we have done is we're using the exact same function. We've got our tokens URL, which is, as I've said, you hop in here, you go to File, Share, make sure that you're published to web, and then, we're going to go with our token test, comma separated value, copy that. You see that, it says stop publishing down there because it's currently already publishing. And here's what we're doing is we just have a couple of images that I applied some styling to. So it's position absolute, and then we set the position of the token border to 0 on the top and 0 on the left. And what it does is it just takes your div and then positions one image on top of the other. So let's say, for instance, let's go ahead and search D&D token border. We'll go into our Google image search here, see what we can get out of it. For this particular test, we probably want something that's not too crazy. I think this one looks good. Yeah, and it's got the transparent ring. This is pretty sweet. Oh yeah, you like that that Hobbit in there? I wanted to find some fun images. So all we've got to do here is we go copy image address, and I just realized you can't see that I'm right clicking. So you're going to right click, copy image address, and then in our spreadsheet here, we paste in that token stamp. And then what character do you think I should put in here? We're going to search for a character image that we're going to put inside of our token. Any requests? Sorry, I'm like waiting for the delay to kick in, because I can always, do we go with the Aragorn cartoon? Yeah, he was not handsome in the cartoon version of The Hobbit, let me tell you. I mean, I kind of like this. This almost has like a very what you call it, Blizzard look to it, which is all the more reason to not use it, I guess, right? And I mean, we don't have to use Aragorn. We can use somebody else. What's another popular hero we can choose? Let's just do Link from. We're gonna do Skyward Sword Link because that's my favorite. Let's look for a good image of Skyward Sword Link here. Anything where he's centered in the image is going to be easiest. Now, of course, there are ways that you don't have to necessarily get one where he's centered. But yeah, all we're going to do here is we're going to copy the image address and we're going to paste it into our spreadsheet. And then let's hop back into our script here and hit refresh. And there you go. You have your Skyward Sword Link token, which again, it's it looks a little wonky there because of the positioning of him. Maybe we can find one where he's a little bit more to the right would probably help, I think. If we copy image address here, and what's beautiful about this is that you can, you share this spreadsheet with your players, right? Then they can make their own tokens for your virtual tabletop. Man, that one looks like doo-doo too. Let's see if we can't find an even better one. But yeah, like I said, the whole objective behind this is to kind of automate these processes. And if you get as much of a kick out of them as I do, hopefully you will find that these little tools are nifty and useful. What we could also do, let's see if this one looks good. Uh-oh, I might have queried the spreadsheet too many times. That is one thing that I've noticed, is I do get some pushback from Google if you make too many changes in a short period of time. It doesn't like that. I had that issue when I was changing out this border on trunks over here. But suffice to say, you can use this for all kinds of things. Like I said, you share this spreadsheet with your players. They can upload their own character images. And, this is kind of a slapdash. I didn't really take time to format these images the way that I wanted to. You can actually set it up to where portrait images are cropped a certain way so that your landscape images are cropped a certain way. This is just, I set the border radius to 50% so that it takes square images and crops them in on the sides. But there's different things that you can do in your CSS styling in order to make it look the way you want it to, regardless of the images that you're inputting. But it literally is the same thing. We're just taking that Vue app. I created that div, that's the app, and then, for each token in tokens, then we add this vbind source, and that's where we source the image from, and we're just putting that URL right in there. Pretty cool, right? So other sort of applications for this, you could use this for storing character sheet data. One of the things that has held me back is, how am I going to sort of interface with a database and allow people to store their Gundam5e character sheets on the website so that they can access them anywhere? Well, one way would be to, say, create a spreadsheet, and this is something that I'm putting together. If you've been following the tutorial that I've been running where I am working through creating a dynamic, character sheet that can be edited, I think I have, let me see if I can probably share that with us. I think the most recent version of that character sheet is here. Now, I use all of the same, JavaScript libraries. This is all vanilla JavaScript, actually, so there's no frameworks or anything like that. All I use is Bootstrap CSS to format everything into these tables. And I've worked through this tutorial. You can find it on my channel. The next step in this is finding a way to load and save data. Currently, I have it set up to where you can load and save session data, which is stored on your browser. that's not very effective when it comes to, you know, you can't load it from anywhere else. It's stored on that browser. It's stored as a cookie, essentially. So, you can't take that character with you, and you can only create one at a time. It's really just not an effective system. But in order to create a database where you store all of these different character sheets, you would need spreadsheets, right? Now, the option for that is you can either host things on your website, or you can use a free Google Sheet where you store all of your players' information, and you even have the built-in data validation that comes with having a spreadsheet like this. So you can also do things. This is probably not the best way to do things, but if you were handling sensitive data, obviously you don't want to do it on a Google Sheet that's published to the web. But for something that you're sharing with your friends, and you're trying to run a tabletop game online, sharing a Google Sheet with your friends isn't a bad way to go about it. So you have your player names, you have and then you would have your character names, you have your ability scores, which again, like I said, this is all set up to where the data validation happens within the sheet itself. So as you can see, you probably can't see it because my text size is ridiculously small, but when you fill in your ability scores, your ability modifiers automatically update. That's fine. Let the spreadsheet handle all the math. Then you just port that information over into your character sheet using PapaParse. You parse that data out of the spreadsheet and into your character sheet. You can even, and this is part of what I'm going to cover in my next video in the series where I'm working on this dynamic character sheet, is you can even set it up to where values that you put into the sheet on the front end will publish automatically to the Google Sheet. Even cooler. So, like I said, there's a lot of different use scenarios for this particular script that are not just, that looks so much better. It's not just limited to, okay, I have a table full of data that I am trying to publish in a Google document, or I have a table full of data that I want to make into a table full of data that can be searched. The value that you're getting from using an online CSV parser like PapaParse is immense. And if you want, I can go into a much more detailed tutorial about how this stuff works. I just know that, a lot of the people watching right now probably don't necessarily care about the specifics of how it works, just that it works. And honestly, even I, because I don't know jQuery to save my life, the way that the tables are created over here, all I know is, because I recognize the HTML from it, is when I see output HTML and I see that we've got a table tag, cool, I made it. I added in some Bootstrap classes, table, table striped, table hover. What those do is when you hover over a row in your table, because I added that table hover class, that's what makes it glow, and then we get our zebra stripe effect from the table striped class. You can see in here where it pulls the header from the data that we're parsing, and then we've got our body, and like I said, if you know just a scrap of HTML, you can see where the information is being pulled from. Now, like I said, the table is being handled differently because, I have a bunch of different Bootstrap formatting going into it, and there's a couple of Bootstrap scripts attached to it, which, if you hit the little gear icon, you can see that we're using PapaParse, we're using jQuery, we're using Twitter Bootstrap, we're using data tables, .javascript. There's a lot of libraries that this is dependent on. which normally I'm not a big fan of, but I didn't want to build a sortable, searchable table from scratch. It was easy to just, use a framework that was already out there and existed and just port my data into it. So, hopefully you are dazzled and impressed with the amazing technology that is available for free. All of this stuff is all open source. You can pull from it, play with it, do whatever you want with it. After the stream, I will go ahead and put links to, well, I'm debating putting the links to some of this G5e content. I think what I'll end up doing is I won't publish it right away. I won't, add the links to these scripts right away, just because I don't want people going through it just to see, what progress I've made on mobile suits. Spoiler alert, the mobile suits are just about done. All of the new type talents are done, which is why I pasted them in. But, for instance, when we go back in our rulebook here, which the rulebook went from 85 to 137 pages when I did that, which should tell you all you need to know about how much data is actually going into this thing. Let's see. I know I've got the... No, that's backgrounds. See? And I mean, I probably should have done it for the backgrounds too. I was an idiot, and I, went ahead and created the backgrounds. I typed them up in this Google document when I could create a spreadsheet where it's like each background has a, the name, it's got its description, and then it's got subtables where, we go through the different ideals, bonds, flaws, and traits that are associated with that background. That way I could edit it on the fly again, and it would dynamically populate to where we need it. I'm trying to find where we start. Here we go. So we've got our mobile suits and combat crafts. I have, where I show what the stat blocks look like, what to expect from all of that information. So then, if we've got our codex here and we add a couple spaces here from our description, what we're going to do is go ahead and go back to our script here, and let's take a few of these entries from our mobile suit list. We're just going to copy, 2 or 3 of them and paste them in, and you will see that they're formatted, and we've got all of our titles and everything looks good. Easy as that. So once everything is done, I'll paste in the massive block of all of these mobile suit stat blocks. But it's, again, it makes the task less daunting for me as somebody who's just doing this in his spare time. The idea of updating an entire website and then building out a PDF, that's a lot of work. But if I can just update one spreadsheet and then publish the information to 2 different sources, it makes life a lot easier. Hopefully you are seeing some of the kind of use case scenarios where this is useful. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. But yeah, that's all I've got for this evening. Hopefully you're interested in some of this stuff. Again, like I said, the whole purpose, the whole point behind everything that I do is to hopefully inspire people to tinker and experiment and learn to do things. And if you have any questions, obviously, give me a shout in the comments below. I do try my best to respond to comments to my videos. So, if you reach out to me and you have any questions about how this stuff works or any of the specifics, I will definitely reach out to you, or, join me on Discord. A lot of the people here watching, They're all members from Discord, and so they've kind of seen some of these different things, but I'm always available to kind of help people develop their own projects. And you know, if this kind of stuff helps you with coming up with ideas for how you want to publish your own tabletop RPG products, I take everything that I've learned from web development and graphic design and all of that stuff, and I try to apply it to my hobbies, which happen to be Gundam and tabletop RPGs. So if you have something that, whatever your passions are, hopefully you can use some of these lessons and some of these tools that I'm digging up for your own benefit. And if you have questions on how to use them, give me a shout. But like I said, that's all I've got for now. In the meantime, the Gundam5e RPG rulebook and updated website, they are going to come out at the same time. Hopefully I can have them done in the next week or two, which I know I've been saying for like 6 months. But again, the daunting task of updating a PDF and a website was kind of weighing on me. And then of course I went and caught COVID like a dummy. But now that I'm back in action, back in the saddle, as it were, as long as I can keep from getting too busy, I can knock out the remaining edits that are there. Everything is stored on that one Google spreadsheet. That is like my master document that I live off of. God forbid Google kick me off their platform, because then we're going to lose all of it. No, I'm kidding. I make backups of everything. But hopefully you guys got a kick out of that. I know I was kind of rambling and all over the place, but I'm just very excited about the prospects of using these different tools, using these different libraries, using these different frameworks to bring more content to you faster and easier. And hopefully you are excited to do the same. Well, I am going to take off, feed the dogs, and finish my bourbon. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening, a great rest of your week. You can find me, of course, smack talking on Instagram, and making more YouTube videos and Odyssey videos and all that good stuff. I've got some fun Gunpla projects that are coming down the pike. Pike? What is the etymology of that phrase? Is it coming down the pike or coming down the pipe? Either one, they're probably bad. But, I've been painting miniatures and stuff. I just have not had time to edit these videos because I've been, busy doing all of this stuff. So, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope you guys have a good one, and I will catch you later. Peace.